Okay, here we are. Okay.
With anti-vaccination stands on the rise, preventable outbreaks are too. In 2000, measles was considered eliminated with fewer than 100 cases reported each year. Unfortunately, though, in 2014, 644 cases were reported, and in the first 4 months of 2015, 159 cases were reported. These diseases are preventable with the use of vaccines. The CDC says vaccines have reduced and eliminated many diseases that killed or severely disabled people just a few generations ago. For example, smallpox. Our children today don't even have to receive the vaccine because the disease has been eradicated and it's not a concern for us anymore. Many people are unaware, though, that there are children and people out there that cannot be vaccinated. Some of the reasons they might not be able to be vaccinated are they might have an autoimmune disorder, they might have been born prematurely, they might have cancer and then be receiving chemotherapy, which then makes it so they cannot receive vaccinations. These people, these children, they rely solely on what's called herd immunity. So what is herd immunity? Herd immunity is when the majority of the population has been vaccinated or is immune to a disease, therefore protecting the children or people that cannot be vaccinated. But in order for herd immunity to work most effectively, 95% of people have to be vaccinated. So we're all well aware of the huge outbreak that occurred in Disneyland only a year ago, but I think the majority of us are unaware of how far and how wide and how rapidly it spread. It spread to 7 different states and down into Mexico, but 128 cases were in the US. 3 were here in Utah, 1 was just down the road in Orem at our local Walmart. And it was while I was pregnant with my little boy, and I remember being so scared to even leave my apartment because, as many people are aware, measles is obviously dangerous to everyone, but really dangerous for the unborn. And although I had been vaccinated, my child was still at risk. And that made me angry because I didn't feel like I should have to worry about that because I had been vaccinated and because I think everyone should be vaccinated. So it's just something to consider and to realize and understand that it doesn't need to be that way. This is Noah. He's a high school student. He was born with an autoimmune disorder, which led to needing a bone marrow transplant, which now makes it so he cannot receive vaccines. Every time he enters a room with multiple people, he asks every single person if they've been vaccinated. And if they haven't, he leaves because it poses a potential death threat on him. That is frustrating because he should be able to enjoy high school life worry-free, just like all of us got to. Instead, him and his family are concerned for his health and safety. His mom said it best, I think. It's infuriating and heartbreaking because it doesn't have to be this way. To go through all that we've gone through over the past 2 years and to think that he could get sick from a preventable illness, it's mind-blowing that it's even a possibility. This is Ben. He, at 2 years old, was diagnosed with leukemia. Because of the chemo that he went under, the chemo he received, he can now not receive any live vaccines. So even a mild case of anything could turn deadly, especially if he received, for instance, if he got a mild case of the chickenpox, it could turn to pneumonia or a bacterial infection that, of course, could turn deadly. Him and his family are now obviously living in fear for the rest of his life because any little thing could make him incredibly sick. Him and Noah are both prime examples of kids and people that rely on this herd immunity and rely on us to protect them. So we need to be vaccinated to protect the children and the people that cannot be vaccinated. Now, we know where this anti-vaccination movement comes from. It's definitely rooted in distrust for the medical industry, with literature being released about artificial harmful chemicals being in these vaccines, of course autism being linked to vaccines. People don't know, though, that in response to the autism and vaccine correlation, that information, that literature has been retracted, and the doctor that released that information has actually had his license removed, and it's now obviously not true. So vaccines still don't cause autism. In 2011, scientists did a study with 8 vaccines on both children and adults, and with rare exception, they found that vaccines work and are overwhelmingly safe for us. But unfortunately, this huge uproar will negatively affect us for years to come. We'll look back at this graph that I showed at the beginning. I just wanted to point out that minimal outbreaks were occurring when the majority of our population was being vaccinated. We need to vaccinate. We need to save these kids and to save ourselves. In Africa, we're all well aware that they have limited resources, information, they're limited to information, they're limited with medical supplies, with that sort of thing. So 3 million children die each year from diseases that, most diseases that are preventable by vaccines. That's 1 in 5 kids are not receiving these vaccines. And a doctor by the name of George Parada, he has traveled to all over the world, and specifically in Africa, he said that he saw moms begging for vaccines for their kids. I think that is like so eye-opening because we have everything at our fingertips. They're available to us for pretty low cost. I mean, everything's right, our information, doctors, and so many people are not taking advantage. So many people are, shooing it away and not using it. And I think we need to realize how blessed and how lucky we are to have access to these things, and realize and recognize that there are people begging for this information, or for this, information and for these vaccines. In the bottom corner, that's River. He was born prematurely. So for the first 9 months of his life, he was unable to receive vaccines. So his parents lived in fear every day that he might get something that could make him really sick or kill him. And especially pertussis was dangerous to him because he had really underdeveloped lungs. And as most of you are aware, pertussis is dangerous to all babies, but extremely dangerous to premature babies. And so he's another example of someone that relies completely on this herd immunity that I've been talking about. So, of course, these children want to live long, healthy lives just like the rest of us. Kathy, Noah's mom, also said, "You just want to get on your soapbox and yell, 'Don't you realize you could kill my child? What are you thinking?' But these vaccine deniers, they just don't get it." She goes on and says, "This isn't just about an individual child, it's a moral issue and a community responsibility." So I say today that it's our responsibility. We all need to get vaccinated. We need to educate those around us so that we can help save the children that cannot save themselves. Thank you.